thanks for joining me today, Friday, June 26th. Now, it is Fact Check Friday, and my first story involves fact-checking. Seeing isn't always believing. Google starts fact-checking images. This story's from the Wall Street Journal. Google said Monday that it will start identifying some misleading photos in its specific search tool for images with a fact-check label, expanding that function beyond its standard non-image searches and videos as misinformation is rampant online. The fact-check label will appear on any image that is included in an article that fact-checks a photo or another claim. A larger preview of the photo will show a short summary of the fact-check and direct users to its source. The Mountain View, California company has used these fact-checking labels for years in its main search results and on video streaming site YouTube. In December, Google said fact checks appear more than 11 million times each day in search results. The company used an example of an image showing a giant shark swimming along Houston Street. Now a search for the shark image, which was edited to make it seem as though a storm had caused an ocean wildlife to swim alongside cars, will show a small fact-check label next to a photo attached to a PolitiFact article. Google said it is launching the feature fully this week. Now, this is a move in the right direction. We need more fact-checking, not less. And fact-checking videos or images is a good step in the right direction. However, I will caution, a lot of times fact-checkers get things wrong. And right now, there's no way to challenge that. Let's say that they did fact-check a picture and they say, oh, it's a fake picture. Well, what if you have evidence that it's a real picture? There should be a way that you could challenge it and present information so that a correction can be made. But right now, with all the fact-checking sites, there's nothing you can do. They can put up things that are not true, and there's no way to challenge them on it other than making a YouTube video. And since I haven't done a fact check, I'll just do a quick fact check on an image. This one I pulled off Facebook. Now, the claim is that Obama doesn't want to stand in front of an American flag. He wants to stand in front of a Muslim prayer curtain. That's not true. These are the same ugly curtains that you can see here with Trump or Bush. They're the White House curtains. And as far as I know, there's not such a thing as a Muslim prayer curtain. So this one's false. White actresses Kristen Bell and Jenny Slate vacate mixed-race voice roles. Amid the ongoing national conversation about race, actresses Kristen Bell and Jenny Slate both announced Wednesday that they'd no longer voice mixed-race characters on animated series so that the roles can be recast with black actors. Bell, who plays Molly on Apple TV Plus's new Central Park, shared a statement from the show, which debuted in May. It praised Bell's performance, but it said the, quote, entire creative team recognizes that the casting of Molly is an opportunity to get representation right, to cast a black or mixed-race actress and give Molly a voice that resonates with all of the nuance and experiences of the character as we've drawn her. It said Bell would continue to be part of the show. Bell added her own statement in the caption in which she said playing Molly showed a, quote, lack of awareness of my pervasive privilege. She deemed the casting wrong. Just hours earlier, Slate said she would stop voicing Missy Foreman-Greenwald, the character she's been playing on Big Mouth, since that show debuted on Netflix in 2017. The Saturday Night Live alum said she'd previously convinced herself that she was allowed to play a character whose mother was Jewish and white, just like her own. She since realized that black characters should be played by black people. Interesting times. This is a cartoon. Nobody cares, right? I think back to when I was a kid, my favorite cartoon character was Hong Kong Phooey. and that was voiced by Scatman Crothers. Who's black? I had no idea as a kid. I found out decades later, and guess what? I don't care now, I didn't care then, and I don't think that kids care who voices cartoons. And if they do, they're obsessed about something. They need to go outside and play. It's interesting to say that a biracial character needs to be played by a black actor. That seems odd to me. And that is something about, that brings up the idea that there's like a black voice and a white voice. And I understand that some black people have a black voice, a distinctive black voice, and some white people have a distinctive white voice. But there are many people that you can't tell by listening to their voice what their ethnicity is. That's just the way that it is. I think about some of the biracial people that I know, and I wouldn't say that to me they don't sound black, but I know black people and their voice on the phone or whatever, I don't think people would assume that they were black either. So this idea that a white actor can't play a biracial person just seems odd to me. But, they're in Hollywood, they're millionaires, they can do whatever they want. If they want to leave a job, so be it. ESPN reports, Liverpool has ended their 30-year wait for a top-flight title after being crowned Premier League champions following Manchester City's 2-1 loss at Chelsea on Thursday. The triumph brings to an end a 30-year drought as Klopp's class of 2020 ended their wait for a top-flight title that stretched back to 1990. This season's feat means Liverpool now have 19 titles to their name, one behind Manchester United, who sit on 20. When football, or soccer, was postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic, there were times Klopp feared his Liverpool side would be denied their chance to win the title on the pitch. When the league was suspended in March, Liverpool were 25 points clear at the top. Discussions follow on how to best to restart the league. Klopp admitted before Liverpool's match against Everton last Sunday that he was worried the league would be decided by points per game or even voided. But to Klopp's relief, the league restarted on June 17th. So this was interesting with the Premier League. Now, one thing that's a little tricky that Americans might not know is the Premier League is all based on points. And so there's no championship game at the end. There's no Super Bowl for the Premier League. You get a number of points, like 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie. And so everyone plays the entire season and they count up the points, and whoever has the most points wins. Now, what was going on with Liverpool is before the coronavirus put a halt to the season, they were way ahead in points. And, so it only makes sense that when they came back, they played a few more games and they ended up clinching the championship. So congratulations to Liverpool. European chocolates, olives, and 28 other items could be hit with $3.1 billion in new U.S. tariffs from CNN Business. European olives, chocolate, gin, and beer made with malt are among the latest products that could be hit with steep tariffs as part of a U.S.-European dispute over government subsidies to aircraft makers. The U.S. Trade Representative announced a list of 30 total products that could be subjected to new tariffs, noting the United States imports about 3.1 billion of these goods annually from Europe. The United States already levied 15% to 25% tariffs on 7.5 billion worth of other European goods as part of this dispute. The new items could be hit with tariffs as much as 100%, according to the notice. Tariffs are typically paid by American consumers if the exporter does not pay the cost of the tax itself. Some businesses, which have been hit by previous tariffs, were quick to object to this latest action. The Distilled Spirit Council of the United States, which said its members have already lost hundreds of millions in sales from earlier rounds of tariffs on both sides, said it is concerned this latest action will only lead to more escalation. Quote, EU and US distilled spirit companies have suffered enough as a result of this trade war, said the trade group. The longer these disputes go unresolved, the greater the threat of even more tariffs on our industry. Now, don't tell me that my dark chocolate, my European chocolate, is going to go up in price. I can't deal with that. It's already expensive enough. But that's the thing with tariffs. We think that tariffs even things out, but they end up just costing the consumer more. So, I don't know. This is going back and forth between the EU and the US. One side does one thing, the other side ups the ante a little bit more, and it just goes back and forth. And who loses? Well, it's the consumer. There's a new church in town, and they believe every voting day in the U.S. is a religious holiday. Why does that matter? You can vote by mail in Tennessee if you are observing a religious holiday that conflicts with Election Day and early voting. One 27-year-old man is now using a loophole in the law to make it easier for any Tennessee citizen to obtain an absentee ballot and vote early. So, if there were a religion that simply declared Election Day for any election a holiday, it would serve as a legitimate reason to request a ballot no matter who you are. Introducing the Church of Universal Suffrage, an officially registered nonprofit religious organization that exists purely to circumvent voter suppression in Tennessee. It was established earlier this month by Tim Jacobs, an employee of the state's Department of Environment and Conservation. The church reveals a truth about our broken elections, that in order to make sure everyone can participate, it may require us to game the system. Because the system is rigged, some cleverness can provide temporary relief until more progressive politicians can mend the law. Now, this is a church that I could be a part of, the Church of Universal Suffrage. I think it's ridiculous that Tennessee is setting up all these barriers so that not everyone can sign up to get an absentee ballot if they want one. I think anyone that wants an absentee ballot should be able to get one without having to come up with an excuse. That's ridiculous. And so, here's an excuse. You can join this church and, it's a holiday for your church, so therefore, you can get an absentee ballot. Sometimes people have to get creative, and I applaud the guy that started this church. This is a creative way to allow more people to vote in Tennessee, which I think is a good thing. Those are the stories for today. Let me know your thoughts about any of them in the comments. Have an awesome weekend. Peace.